Hey guys, what's up? It's me again, the Wrist Guy, and I wish you all a happy Sunday. Today I would like to talk about the one and only Rolex Submariner killer on the market, which is the OMEGA SEAMASTER Diver 300M Professional. Okay, got it this time. Let's go. So guys, as you already know, there are plenty of videos about this particular watch. I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in it as well. I received this watch about 1 week ago and I've been wearing it ever since. And I have to say, my opinion on this watch changed completely 180 degrees. Let me explain. This watch, Omega's main 2 product lines are, as you probably know, the Speedmaster, which is the racing chronograph watch of theirs, and they have the Seamaster, which is their diver's watch. And unlike the Speedmaster, where they managed to stay true to their own design since 1957, mostly, they haven't been able to do so with the Seamaster. The Seamaster was changed every couple of years, and their concept of a Seamaster just, never got going that much. Until 1993, when Pierce Brosnan was casted as James Bond in the GoldenEye, and Omega made one of the most successful deals in the history of watch sponsorships. As you all know, Omega is sponsoring and today is still sponsoring James Bond. And to celebrate this event, Omega introduced a brand new Seamaster watch, and it was this one, but yeah, the older version back in '93, which was very 90s looking, if you ask me. The watch originally came out in quartz, which is, in my opinion, also very 90s-like. The hands, the wave dial, the bracelet, oh my god, the bracelet, it was so 90s, and it was actually quite popular. It wasn't that expensive, and I don't know if Omega was actually planning that, but people kept comparing it to the Submariner. But it actually never quite, compared to it. Actually, the Submariner was always a little bit more exclusive than the Seamaster. So let me just put the hard facts aside, because this watch is more than just the sum of its parts to me. This watch, for me, really creates emotion. When I look at this watch, I really think about vacation, swimming in the sea, beaches, sunny summer. It's like, it's so much fun to wear this watch, to just look at this watch. And a lot of it has to do with the color and the dial and the whole feeling of it. I think this watch actually looks better underwater and when you wear it swimming than when you do wearing on land. And that's also the reason why I personally went with the blue version and the rubber band, because that watch just screams vacation watch for me, and that's also what I want in a diver's watch, because usually dive watches tend to be so boring in my opinion. The only thing that a dive watch has in specs is its water resistance. And water resistance is something a lot of modern watches have. Because water resistance on their own is something a lot of modern watches already have. If you remember my review of the Day-Date 40, this watch was also 100 meters water resistant. So technically you could actually dive with a Day-Date on your wrist. That would be so badass. So if you ask me, I'm not a professional diver. I don't need 300 meters of water resistance. 300 meters of water resistance for me is something like enhanced steel, harder stainless steel, 904 versus 316 stainless steel. You know what I mean? It's something that you read on a spec sheet, but you cannot actually experience it unless you're one of those very few people who actually dive 300 meters deep. So when I have a dive watch, I want something more of it. I want to have a feeling of it, I don't want to wear a dive watch to a suit. Sorry everyone who wears a Submariner to a suit. In my opinion, it's tacky and I would not wear a tool watch to a suit. That's why I think a proper dive watch can be a little bit playful. I think it is allowed to not take itself very seriously. A blue color, a pop of red in there, a wave dial, anything that is a little bit playful, I think is very welcome to a dive watch, and that's exactly what this watch has. So when you just look at the specs, the watch features a 42mm case. Previous generations had a 41mm case, this one is now 42. The watch itself wears true to size in my opinion, but you can still wear it if you have a smaller wrist because of the lug-to-lug distance, which is 49mm in this watch. The lug width is 20mm, so you can actually use every common NATO strap, leather strap, whatever you prefer on this watch, which is also a very nice thing to have. The casing is such an interesting combination of brushed and polished surfaces. It's not just polished on the sides. It has polished surfaces on the sides, but when you look at the lugs, for example, they have the twisted lugs, which have a brushed surface on them. You have the crown guards, which have a polished surface at the top. And then you look at the side profile of the bezel, which is brushed but has different forms of beveling on it. So I think the case is very interesting. And at 10 o'clock, we have the infamous helium escape valve. A lot of people hate this thing. For me personally, I don't care as much. After 2 days wearing this watch, I barely forgot that it was there, to be honest. So the helium escape valve is actually no deal breaker for me at all. The bezel has enamel inlays. In contrast to, for example, the Submariner, which has platinum inlays, this one has enamel inlays. The difference is actually just in the looks and in the taste. So the Seamaster features a completely flat bezel. You can feel the inlay with your fingernail, but on the looks of it, it's completely flat, but it is scratch resistant nonetheless. On 12 o'clock, we feature a triangle and a luminous pearl on there, which is very important for saturation diving, which is very important for timing your dive time. And then we get to the dial. The dial, guys, is so incredibly impressive in my opinion. It is made out of zirconium dioxide, or for us regular folks, ceramic, but it has the wave pattern on it, which is laser engraved, which also is a funny nod to the James Bond history of the watch, you know what I mean? But a ceramic dial has such an interesting play of lights on there, which I only see in Omega watches. I already saw that on my Speedmaster Dark Side of the Moon, and this watch has the same light play too. So I find it very intriguing and interesting. So a lot of time I catch myself looking at the watch and then forgetting to look what time it is. I was just mesmerized by the dial itself, if you know what I mean. And Omega is so good in layering dials. So as I already mentioned, I like it when dive watches are a little bit more playful. And I don't like it when I look at the watch and if it's just flat and lacks emotion at all. And I like it when dials are layered, when you can feel a certain depth to the dial. And that's exactly what this one has. The hands are those famous, now called James Bond hands. They are skeletonized. Some people love them, some people hate them. I first hated them and then I actually liked them very much. That's interesting. I started this video when it was very sunny and now it's completely rainy and dark outside. So please excuse the small change in aperture. The movement is the 8800 in-house caliber from Omega, and the very interesting thing about that is that it is completely anti-magnetic. So it is anti-magnetic up to 15,000 Gauss. That is a level of magnetism that you won't experience in everyday life. This is something you get from a CT or something like that. So in conclusion, is this watch a Submariner killer? I think yes, absolutely. Because this watch costs around half of the price that a Submariner costs. It has better accuracy, it has a more interesting dial, it has more exotic materials. It is also more fun, you know what I mean? And if you buy gray, you don't lose that much money at all. So, of course, if you want a Rolex, you want a Rolex, and there's nothing you can do about that. But if you want a fun dive watch and you're not sure whether you should get a Submariner or something else, get this one. So guys, I hope you liked this video. Please let me know how you like this watch. Do you have it in your collection? Are you planning on getting it into your collection? Please let me know in the comments down below. I would really appreciate it if you like this video and subscribe to the channel. And yeah guys, stay at home, stay healthy and have a good one. Bye bye.